Hello everybody, I welcome you to this video lecture. The topic is the antibiotics. This antibiotics, it's a very important topic for you people because if you work as a nursing professionals in the hospital, 24/7 you have to deal with the antibiotics. Because if the patient is admitted to any hospital, it may be prior to surgery or after the surgery, or it may be due to any kind of diseases. He needs to be inserted the various kinds of antibiotics. So you must have a sound knowledge regarding what is antibiotic, what are the various classes of antibiotics, what are the various names of antibiotics. This thing should be very clear to you. Their mechanism of actions, where special or specific antibiotics should be used. Right? Next, what can be the side effects or adverse drug reactions? This thing should be very clear, because sometimes the antibiotics lead to certain toxicity, certain side effects, and you have to identify this kind of side effects. Right? Okay, so let's begin. So first of all, we need to know the word chemotherapy. If you say about chemotherapy, maximum of the people understand which is given the treatment procedure in case of this cancer patients. It is a very new term. Cancer chemotherapy is a very new term. But in general, if you speak about this chemotherapy, it's a treatment of systemic or topical infection with the drugs that have selective toxicity for and invading pathogens. Okay, this actually it is not and, it should be n. Certain typing mistake. For n, an, selective toxicity for an invading pathogen without harming the host cell. Okay, so the pathogen means what, and the host cell means what? The pathogen means whatever the microorganism that is entering to your body and which are meant to cause the diseases. Okay, which are meant to cause the diseases. It can be the bacteria, it can be the virus, fungus, right? Anything. Okay, so this is said as the pathogen. The microbes, those who can cause the disease. So without harming the host cell means host cell is the human body where the pathogen will enter. This is what we know as the host cell. Okay, so while applying the chemotherapy, while applying any kind of any kind of treatment, okay, to kill the pathogens, the host cell should not be harmed. There should not be any toxicity to the host cell, otherwise this kind of treatment will not be granted. Understood? Now this pathogen can be living or multiplying. Certain pathogen will be there on your body. Okay, it will enter and it will stay as it is and it will cause the diseases, but certain pathogens will enter and it will cause the multiplication. It will increase the number. It will increase their number by doing frequent multiplications, right? So from maybe from one pathogens, two pathogen, then again 4, 6, this way. We studied already how the bacteria, how the virus are multiplied. Okay, so this is the multiplying pathogens. Okay, so I just I'm informing you, just take your pen and paper, note down everything. Another very important point, the selective toxicity is relative rather than absolute. That means from the previous definition what we understood, okay, there has to be a selective toxicity for the pathogen. There has to be a selective toxicity for the pathogen, not for the host, not for the host cell. But this is not an absolute term. We cannot say directly definitely it will happen, यही होगा ऐसा बोल के हम लोग मतलब नहीं बोल सकते हैं. Why? Because if we are trying to kill any pathogen, this is also possible that the human cell or the host cell will also be affected. It will depend on the type of antibiotics or type of treatment that is used. It will depend on the doses or quantity of the antibiotics. If we increase the dose or increase the quantity of the antibiotics, maybe it will affect the human cell also. That is why the selective toxicity is relative term. Just we can apply, but it is not absolute. It is not 100% correct. Now, the concept of chemotherapy is possible. The concept by treating a disease by means of various antibiotics is possible because there is a biochemical and pathological changes. Okay? There is a difference in the biochemical and physiological process. There is a difference in the biochemical and physiological process in between the prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cells. I think you know what is prokaryotic or eukaryotic cells, right? Prokaryotic is a small bacteria, virus. These are what we call as the prokaryotic cells. And eukaryotic cell example, we have this human cell, animal cell, etc. If you are still confused, please have a look at your anatomy and physiology book and try to clarify the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. Okay? Now, we are approaching antimicrobials. So, an antimicrobial agent is defined as a natural or synthetic substance that kills or inhibits the growth of microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi and algae. Some people say this fungi is a fungi also. Both the pronunciation is correct. You can say fungi also, you can say fungi also. So it is the agents. See, antimicrobial is a broad term. So anything, any agents, any chemicals, any substances that is used to kill or inhibit the growth of microorganisms. And these microorganisms can also be of anything. Okay? So it is, the word is said as the antimicrobials. Now, last class, not exactly in the last class, I think I have given you certain notes regarding the antiseptic and disinfectant. So this antiseptic disinfectant can also be an antimicrobial agents. Okay. So this antimicrobials, again I told you this is a broad term. So individually we can refer, individually we can give certain names depending on what kind of organisms or what kind of organisms these are capable of killing or inhibiting. Okay? So if it is antibiotics or antibacterials, that means these antimicrobials are very active against the bacteria. Okay? So antibiotics or antibacterials, these are the agent, okay, which kills and inhibit the growth of bacteria, especially bacteria, right? But we got a little difference in between the antibiotics as well as the antibacterials. So antibiotics these are the substance which is obtained from the microorganisms. Again, it is active against the microorganisms. Getting my point? This antibiotics is obtained in a small quantity from the various microorganisms, and it is again acted against the microorganism माने बैक्टीरिया. ठीक है, जहां से लिया वहीं पे जाके काम करता है. नाउ एंटीबैक्टीरियल्स, this can be the natural or synthetic also. If we manufacture, if we synthesize any antibiotic inside the chemical laboratory, okay, we got so many antibiotics, those who have synthesized inside the laboratory, and it is not isolated, it is not obtained from any kind of bacteria, any kind of microbial agents, right? So this is mainly said as the antibacterials. But nowadays these terms are these are the terms that is used interchangeably. Some people are saying antibacterial, some people are saying antibiotics, so both are like kind of, some messes are going on, right? Okay, so next one is the antivirals. So antivirals, of course, as the name suggests, it is against the virus. Antiparasitic agents against the parasites. For example, malaria is a parasite, right? So antifungals against the fungus infections. And now we have so many skin diseases that is by means of this kind of fungus infections. Okay, so another two words we must understand while studying this antibiotics. Remember, in this chapter we are not concerning about this any kind of antiparasitic, any antiviral or antifungal. We are only concerning about this antibiotics. Okay, so these antibiotics can be of bacteriostatic as well as bactericidal. Static means which will inhibit the growth of bacteria, and cidal means which will kill the bacteria. Okay, so bacteriostatic, these are the antibiotics which will resist the growth of bacteria. Bacteria will be there on your body, but it will resist the growth. The growth or the multiplication is not possible, and bactericidal will directly kill the bacteria. So these are certain example of bactericidal as well as bacteriostatic antibiotics. Beta-lactams, aminoglycoside, nitro-imidazole, glycopeptides, quinolones, rifampicin, polymycin, macrolides, sulfonamides, chloramphenicol. See, this is not a single antibiotic. Beta-lactam is not a single antibiotic. If you take a look at your medicines, medicine means what? Where we have the brand names, right? So under the brand names, if you see what is the actual content of the medicine, you won't find any kind of beta-lactams, you won't find any kind of aminoglycosides, because this is the group. Okay, so under beta-lactam antibiotics you'll find like amoxicillin, ampicillin. If you get a chance, please look at the medicines in a hospital. This is the kind of beta-lactam antibiotics. Okay, I'm just giving you one example. Same way all other classes, and all other class, under the class we have numbers of antibiotics. Getting my point? Okay, next one is the spectrum of activity. Meaning ki how broadly it can work, whether this antibiotics can work for a single microorganism, for a single bacteria, or it can be worked for a multiple microorganism. Depending on that, again the antibiotic can be classified. First one is a narrow spectrum. This kind of antibiotics are used in case of the single or limited group of pathogens, that means the bacteria. We have numbers of bacteria, we know that one, and for various diseases different kinds of bacteria are responsible. For example, here you see the anti-tubercular drugs. In that anti-tubercular drugs, whatever the antibiotic is used against the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, it is only helpful for that particular bacteria. It cannot be used in any other diseases. Specific, that is why we are saying this one is narrow. Narrow means क्या है? छोटा सा है ना, narrower, छोटा सा होता है, और कम जिसको बोलते हैं very very little. ठीक है. Example, you have this cloxacillin. Another one is the broad spectrum. This broad spectrum can be helpful to treat the infections caused by various kinds of bacteria. It can be the gram-positive bacteria, it can be the gram-negative bacteria, it can be the spirochetes, right? It can be the chlamydia, it can be the rickettsia. So this is the classification of this bacteria: gram-positive, gram-negative, spirochetes. I'm not going in details. If you got any confusion, then please refer this microbiology book, right? So what is gram-positive bacteria, what is gram-negative bacteria, what is spirochetes, what is chlamydia, rickettsia, etc. So it is helpful for, this kind of antibiotics. The broad spectrum antibiotics can be used in case of maximum of the bacteria. But we got a disadvantage for this one. What kind of disadvantage? That is what we know as the super infections. That means the infection that is occurred due to the use of a antibiotic. What I told you, the infection that is occurring due to the use of the antibiotics. Now the point is why this is happening, right? Why this is happening? This is happening because our body contains certain good bacteria, good bacterial flora, है ना? So inside our body we have certain bacteria, those who are beneficial for our body, those who help in digestion. Because of that antibiotic, that bacteria, another bad bacteria or harmful bacteria cannot be grown inside our body. But if we use the broad spectrum antibiotics, these are broadly acting. That means these antibiotics can work in any kind of bacteria, gram-positive, gram-negative, spirochetes, chlamydia, rickettsia. So that means what? Along with the harmful bacteria, it will kill the good bacteria also. Okay? So if these good bacteria have been killed, so there is a chance for a new infection, right? So this is what we know as the super infection. That means what? Occurring of a new infection due to the using of antibiotics, known as the super infections. Okay? So a good example of super infections, we have this pseudomembranous colitis, PMC. Okay? So the pseudomembranous colitis माने कि itis माने inflammation of the colon. It is a kind of infectious disease which is occur due to the super infections. It's just an example. This is just an example. Pseudomembranous colitis. Okay? So it is occur due to the destruction of the normal or good bacteria of the gut, or you can say the colon, right? Okay. Last one, we have this extended spectrum. This extended spectrum is mainly acting against the gram-positive bacteria, but also in some extent it can work in gram-negative bacteria also, in some extent. Okay? So three spectrum we have: narrow spectrum, broad spectrum, as well as extended spectrum. Take your pen and paper, please note down everything. Now, very important, site and mechanism of action of this antibiotics. Very, very important. Where these antibiotics are working, how it is working. In pharmacology, mechanism of action is very, very essential. Okay? So here one thing I must tell you, see, the mechanism of actions are very complicated. So for that purpose you need to study a lot, but as per your syllabus you don't need to study that much, right? That is why certain things I'm just skipping. I'm just informing you that things which you can digest properly. Okay? So if you want to study more, please refer the book, or you can ask questions to me, because if I go in depth, if I go in details, might be like you will not be able to understand, right? Okay. This is the whole chart where you can see the structure of the bacteria here. Okay, the structure of the bacterial cell. You know, there is a difference between the bacterial cell as well as human cell. In human we have a cellular membrane, outside coverage, cellular membrane. This is not the human cell, this is the bacterial cell. But if it is a human cell, we won't be having this cell wall. Here you can see the middle portion, cell wall, peptidoglycan, and outer covering. These two things are not available in case of the human cell. But in case of the bacterial cell, apart from this cytoplasmic, this green color cytoplasmic membrane is available in bacterial cell also, in human cell also. Okay? But this kind of cell wall or outer red color outer covering, you see, it is not available in case of this human cell. This is the difference of a bacterial cell as well as human cell. Also, bacterial cell is a prokaryotic, human cell is a eukaryotic. Okay? Here also bacterial cell also have the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acids, right? So from DNA it has to go for replication. As that of the human, we studied this replication, transcription and translation process. Replication means new DNA will be synthesized from the old DNA. Transcription means mRNA will be produced from this DNA, and translation means protein will be produced from this mRNA. These three steps. These three steps are available in human cell also, in bacterial cell also, because protein synthesis is a very essential process for bacteria as well as for human, for their growth and development, for their functionality. Without protein synthesis, nothing, no functions can happen. Remember this one. In fact, in case of human cell also, right? Sometimes, like, did you think this one before? We are studying like protein synthesis. Why there is a need of protein synthesis? I can give you a very good example. Right? You are eating a food. You need the digestive enzymes. Right? Pepsinogen or whatever it is there. So this digestive enzyme is in what? It is a protein. Enzymes are protein only. So that means synthesis of this digestive enzymes, that means what? This is the synthesis of protein. This is what we call as protein synthesis. Right? So same way bacteria also need to synthesize their proteins. Okay? So here the antibiotics can work by means of this 5 pathways. Number 1, it can inhibit the cell wall synthesis. I'll speak to you in details. It can inhibit the cell wall synthesis. This one, it can inhibit the protein synthesis. It can act on the membrane integrity. The spelling, some spelling mistake. It is INTEGRITY. It can act on the membrane integrity. I'll tell you what is that. It can inhibit the nucleic acid synthesis. Also it can inhibit the folate synthesis. So whatever the bacteria whatever the antibiotics we have, these are acting by means of these 5 mechanisms. Certain this is the example, like beta-lactam antibiotics will act by means of the cell wall inhibition. Okay, this protein synthesis inhibition will be carried out by this aminoglycosides, tetracycline, chloramphenicol, this kind of antibiotics. I mean, different antibiotics are having different mechanism of actions. Okay, now we'll study one by one. You have to remember those things, because later on whenever we'll be studying the individual antibiotics, again and again I will not be explaining. Okay, so all together I am just explaining everything. ध्यान से सुनो, ध्यान से देखो. Now the mechanism is what? Inhibition of cell wall synthesis. I just told you human cell is having the cell membrane as the outermost part of the cell membrane. But bacteria is having another 2 layers outside the cell membrane. Cell membrane तो रहेगा ही, उसके बाद भी the bacteria will have a cell wall. ठीक है, will have a cell wall, and in certain bacteria will have a outer membrane. I mean, if I divide the bacteria as a gram positive and gram negative bacteria, what will happen? The bacteria will, of course, it will have the cytoplasmic membrane. It is nothing but the cell membrane, same as that of the human. It will have a outermost cell wall in case of the gram positive bacteria. If it is a gram negative bacteria, it will have the cell membrane, it will have the cell wall, and it is covered by a outer membrane. ये सब क्या होता है? ह्यूमन सेल में नहीं होता है. Now the point is, why the bacteria is having a cell wall? ठीक है, why the bacteria is having a cell wall? You see, nature has created the bacteria in such a way that inside the cell here, inside the cell, that means in the cytoplasmic membrane, okay, what is happening? I mean, osmotic pressure. I think all of you know about this osmotic pressure, right? Osmotic pressure क्या है, क्या होता है, कैसे होता है? I think you know this one, है ना? So inside, just a minute, please. All right, okay, so I mean, inside this cell, in the cytoplasmic, in that cytoplasm, this is what we call as a cytoplasm, we have a high osmotic pressure. Nature is created in such a way. We have a high osmotic pressure. Okay, and this high osmotic pressure will lead to the lysis of the cell. Because of this high osmotic pressure, here we have a high osmotic pressure, then what will happen? The fluid from outside can enter to the inside of the cell this way. The fluid, whatever the fluid particle, environmental fluid, can enter from outside to inside, and the cell will be swell, and cell swelling will be there at one time. The cell will be broken down. But ऐसा नहीं होता है. क्यों नहीं होता है? Because we have this cell wall. This cell wall is a very rigid structure. ठीक है? This cell wall is a very rigid structure. है ना? So because of the rigid cell wall, what can happen? Although inside the cell the osmotic pressure is higher, outer fluid cannot insert it. Outer fluid cannot insert it. Finally, the bacteria will be same as it was. That means the cell wall is a kind of preventive layer for bacteria. So human cell do not need any kind of cell wall, because human cell have the mechanisms to regulate this kind of osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure ज़्यादा होने से मतलब थोड़ा बहुत मतलब जो fluid particle होता है ना, वो बाहर से अंदर, अंदर से बाहर, we got certain mechanisms, but bacteria do not have this kind of mechanisms. So it is having only one option, this cell wall. ठीक है? Now here you see this cell wall is made up of the peptidoglycan molecule, peptides. The cell wall is made up of, this is the cell wall, here you see, this is the cell wall. It is made up of peptidoglycan molecules. ठीक है? This peptidoglycan molecules, if you look at the book, you'll find NAM, NAG, N-acetylmuramic acid, N-acetylglucosamine, this kind of components. By attaching all together, this kind of peptidoglycan is formed. ठीक है? अगर तुम लोग नहीं पढ़ोगे तब भी कोई बात नहीं. Just simply you say like it is synthesized by means of this peptidoglycan moieties. ठीक है? Now after synthesis of this peptidoglycan moiety, there is a cross linkage. ये देखो, यहाँ पे देखो, the cross linkage. These are not straight. This is one peptidoglycan is attached to another. One peptidoglycan is attached to another. ठीक है? This process is called as a transpeptidation. TRANSPPTIDATION. Transpeptidation reaction. Why this is happening? To make the cell wall rigid, very tough, so that it can withstand or it can resist the osmotic pressures. ठीक है? And in the cytoplasmic membrane we have this kind of penicillin binding protein. This is a specialized protein which is always present in the cytoplasmic membrane, especially in case of this bacteria. Now if you give any antibiotic, ठीक है, so this antibiotic will enter this way, it will enter this way. ठीक है? It can cross the cell wall, it can cross the cell wall and it will bind the penicillin binding protein. After binding, it will inhibit the transpeptidase reactions. ठीक है? So if the transpeptidase reactions are inhibited, there is no cross linkage. Now whatever the cell wall will be produced, it will be loose enough so that it cannot resist the osmotic pressure. Finally what will happen? That outer fluid particle will be entering to the inner part. The cell will swell and the cell will broken down. Understood? This is the mechanism by which certain antibiotics work. ठीक है? If you got any confusion, उसको बार बार सुनो. You replay this one and बार बार इसको सुनो, then only you will come to understand. Now, what is the difference in case of the mechanisms where gram-positive bacteria is acting as well as gram-negative bacteria is acting? In case of gram-positive, already I told you. But in case of gram-negative, the cell wall is again covered by outer membrane. This is the outer membrane. ठीक है? But then also in that outer membrane we got certain channels, small channels. This is what we call as the porine channels. So by means of the porine channel, certain antibiotic can enter here, can finally go there to the penicillin binding protein, and it can show the same mechanism. But the effect of this kind of antibiotic is good in case of this gram positive better in case of this gram positive bacteria than that of the gram negative. Why? Sometimes it may be asked in the examination. Why? Because in the gram positive bacteria, it do not have any kind of outer membrane. That is why easily the bacteria can enter. Here we have a outer membrane. Because of this outer membranes, where the purine channel exists, there only the antibiotic can enter. So the effect is better in case of this gram positive bacteria. Okay. So the next is the inhibition of protein synthesis. Okay. For the from where the protein is synthesized, the protein is synthesized from the mRNA. Okay. And for the protein synthesis, we required ribosome. We know this one. The bacterial ribosome is the 70S. It is known as the 70S, and the 70S is divided 30S as well as 50S. Okay. If it is a human, then 60-40, total 100. But as I am speaking about this bacteria, so 30S smaller unit, the bigger unit is 50S. All total it is said as the 70S. So this ribosome will synthesize the protein. What this ribosome will do, it will attach the amino acids. The amino acids one by one will be attached. Then what will happen? Finally, there is a protein synthesis. So we got certain antibiotics. What it will do, it will either block this 30S portion of the ribosome, or it will block this 50S. For example, streptomycin, you have heard the word, right? Streptomycin will block this 30S portion of the ribosome. It will make the ribosome inactive, so that there is no protein synthesis. Again, the chloramphenicol, it will bind with the 50S portion, and it will make the ribosome inactive. Okay, so that there is no protein synthesis. If the protein is not synthesized, the bacteria cannot live for a longer period of time. This is the another kind of mechanism. Okay. So next mechanism, inhibition of this nucleic acid. Nucleic acid means the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acids. So it is mainly acting on the replication process. Why? Because before production of this protein, before protein synthesis, there has to be a replication. What? One new DNA strand will be produced from the old parent DNA. Okay. So this kind of antibiotic will hamper with the DNA productions. If the DNA is not produced, how come the mRNA will be produced, and how come the protein will be synthesized? I think the structure is very, very familiar to you, right? There is a parent DNA. One is called as a leading strand, another one is a lagging strand, right? So here some kind of cutting will be there, right? So Okazaki fragments will be produced, right? So here so many enzymes are responsible for carrying out this kind of replication process or DNA synthesis. I think you have just heard, right? So DNA helicase will be there, DNA topoisomerase will be there, then single stranded binding protein primase will be there, DNA polymerase will be there. Okay? So DNA helicase, what it will do, it will just unzip, it will cut down the DNA here, so that two fragments will be produced. So topoisomerase, or what to say, this one is a gyrase, DNA gyrase, both are same, topoisomerase or gyrase. So what it will do, I think you have heard the word supercoiling, so it will help in the unwinding of this DNA to resist the forming supercoiling, right? Again, DNA polymerase will keep on adding the nucleotides, so that nucleotides mane ki, the small ATGC, adenine, thymine, right? guanine as well as cytosines. It will add up there so that new strand will be formed. Okay, so same way ligase will join, primase will help in the joining of this, that RNA nucleotides. I mean, it will help in the synthesis. Now, these classes of antibiotics, what it will do, it act on the two enzymes. One is the topoisomerase. Certain antibiotics will block this topoisomerase. If it is blocked, then what will happen? DNA supercoiling will be there, and DNA synthesis will not be adequate. And finally, the bacteria will die. Same way, certain antibiotics can block this DNA polymerase. So no new nucleotides will not be added. Finally, there is no production of DNA. So what will happen? The bacteria will die. Okay, so prime target for nucleic acid synthesis is this enzyme topoisomerase or gyrase. Second one is the DNA polymerase. Remember, I mean, later on I will be saying, I will not be telling you these things again and again. Simply say this antibiotic will block the topoisomerase and it will resist the DNA synthesis. That time you have to understand where the topoisomerase will work and where the DNA polymerase will work. Okay, if you are a bit confused, then please refer this. I think you have studied this one in biochemistry. Okay. Okay, certain antibiotics are there. What they will do, they will alter the base pairing properties of the template. Okay. So base pairing property means what? The base will be paired ATGC manner. That means adenine will be paired with the thymine, and guanine will be paired with the cytosine. ATGC. So these things are altered. That means the misformation of the DNA strand. Finally, again, there will be no DNA synthesis. What will happen? The bacteria will die. Alright? Okay. So this one we have this altering membrane integrity. Right? Another mechanism. Here, very simple, what will happen? It will disrupt the cell membrane. Okay? For example, here you see there is a reaction of the antibiotic with the antibiotic will enter via the cell wall, and it will act here on the cell membrane. Finally, it will disrupt the cell membrane. Disrupt means it will break down the cell membrane. Okay? If the cell membrane is broken down, of course there is a osmotic disbalance, cell leakage will be there, and there is a cell death. Okay? Certain antibiotics are there, for example antifungal drugs. So these antifungal drugs will bind with the ergosterol. Ergosterol is a very important component of the cell membrane of the fungus. Okay? Because of ergosterol, there is a membrane integrity. That means the membrane will be proper. There is no leakage of the membrane. Right? So if the ergosterol is bind, or if the ergosterol is trapped, or if the ergosterol production is inhibited, finally what will happen? There is a leakage from the membrane via this one. You can see here there is a leakage, inner content will come out and the cell will die. Okay? So it can act on human cell also. Remember, this kind of antibiotics, in general, antibiotics kya hona chahiye? It should be toxic to the microorganism, but should not be toxic to the host. But it can be toxic to the human cell also, but in a lesser extent. Okay? In a very lesser extent. Sorry. So it is limited to the topical application. That means on skin only it is used. So last one we have this, inhibit the synthesis of folate, purine and pyrimidines. See, we studied this topic like folic acid, why there is a importance of this folic acid in case of the human, right? Vitamin B12 as well as the folic acids. It is responsible for the synthesis of blood cells, as well as it is also responsible for DNA RNA synthesis. It is helping. Now there is a difference in between human cell and bacterial cell in terms of folic acid, right? Human cell is easily permeable to the folic acid. That means we human do not synthesize folic acid of our own. We have to take it by means of the food, supplement. Whatever food supplements we'll be taking, if the folic acid is there, it will easily can enter to the cell and it will help in the protein synthesis. It is helping in the RNA DNA synthesis. But in case of bacteria, the mechanism is a bit different. The bacteria cannot synthesize its own folic acid. Bacteria cannot take up the folic acid from outer source. It has to synthesize. Bacteria will synthesize the folic acid of their own. How it is synthesized? By means of this p-aminobenzoic acid and pteridine. This is the certain chemistry part. You don't need to go in details. Just to remember, like p-aminobenzoic acid, if it combines with the pteridine means dihydrotteroic acid. Okay? So you got an enzyme inside the bacteria, pteridine synthetase. What it will do? It will convert it to the dihydrotteroic acid, finally dihydrofolic acid, and finally tetrahydrofolic acid. This tetrahydrofolic acid is the active form of the folic acid. Okay? Getting my point? And this tetrahydrofolic acid is used for the synthesis of purine and thymidine as well as methionine. Methionine is what? Is a kind of amino acid. So bacteria also needs amino acid for their synthesis of the protein, right? So all these three components will help in the synthesis of protein. Okay? From this step to this step, the bacteria must have. But we human do not need these three steps. Directly folic acid will be taken and it will directly enter to the cell. It will convert to tetrahydrofolic acid, because tetrahydrofolic acid is an active form of folic acid. Human will take the folic acid from the food and it will directly enter to the cell and it will convert to tetrahydro. But bacteria cannot. Bacteria has to synthesize in own folic acid. That means the three steps are very essential. Okay? So the sulfonamides is antibacterials. Why we are saying antibacterial? Because it is synthesized in the laboratory. Trimethoprim synthesized in the laboratory. Antibacterials. So this sulfonamide will block this step. Trimethoprim will block this step. Finally, there is no tetrahydrofolic acid. The bacteria cannot synthesize protein. It cannot synthesize purines, RNA, DNA. Finally, the bacteria dead. Right? So this is all about the mechanisms. I'm telling you. You just take your pen and paper, note down everything. If you got any confusions, you watch this video again and again. Right? Try to understand these things, because later on, whenever I'll be teaching you the sulfonamides, again I am not saying this is happening. I'll simply say the sulfonamides will block the folic acid production by means of blocking the pteridine synthase enzyme. These are the enzymes: pteridine synthetase, dihydrofolate synthetase, dihydrofolate reductase. These are the enzymes. Alright? Okay. So that's for today. Thank you.